for instance, or white, or any such opposite qualities? Now, here is the most interesting feature. Right? Look here. What is this that takes on all of these forms? He never describes it, but he likens it to gold. He says, it is as if you're talking about gold. You can then take it through these transformations, and just because it takes on a particular form of chalk, you don't say it's chalk, you say it's such like. But in essence, what it really is formless. It is formless. Pure. It is formless, pure, so pure it has no marks of itself. Therefore, you see, these forms that are impressed upon it take on the form. It doesn't have any. There can it take on what itself doesn't have. I'm on 119. Therefore, we must conceive of three kinds, and this becomes the father, the mother, and the child, or the offspring. The becoming is that wherein it becomes. Wherein it becomes. That's the leaf. In which it becomes. The source wherefrom. And the becoming is copied and produced. Right? Therefore, you have the recipient, the mother, the source, the father, and what's engendered between these two, the offspring. Therefore, he has nothing other than these transformation of these so-called elements within three ideas. Right? The source, see, the source, that's the father. That's the father. Where it receives these forms, the mother. What's produced, the child or the offspring. Therefore, all of nature is nothing other than these three things he sees continually taking place, going through these changes that we wrote there on the side of the board. And what is it? It's something that he describes only with the image gold. That's what he likens it to, I should say. Right. Look at the way he describes it. I'm on 119, and also to perceive that if the stamped copy is to assume diverse appearances of all sorts, that substance wherein it is set and stamped could not possibly be suited to its purpose unless it were itself devoid of all those forms which it is about to receive from any quarter. For were it similar to any of the entering forms or receiving forms of an opposite or a wholly different kind, as they arrived, it would copy them badly. So likewise, it is right that the substance which is to be fitted to receive frequently, over its whole extent, the copies of all things intelligible and eternal, should itself, of its own nature, be void of all the forms. Therefore, this is Plato's voidness. This is the void. Right? This is the void. It itself is void of all forms. It can take on all. Therefore, by the way, would you not agree? Form is emptiness, and emptiness is form. Form is nothing other than emptiness. Emptiness is nothing different than form. Therefore, the three major ideas in this process of the transition, going back and forth continuously, are the offspring, the mother, and the father. Now, I use this language from another translation because this is Thomas Taylor's translation, and it has it a little richer than the Bury translation. So, just take a look at that for a moment and let me push on. Use my book now. So let's put it back. In the mind of the Creator, the mind of the Demiurgos, right? In order for the universe to be constructed such as it is, right? The Demiurgos must look to himself, that reflective capacity, and that's called the intelligible living creature. And on the basis of that, which is an idea in the mind of God, that's the model for the creation of the universe. And therefore, through all of these transformations, all the living creatures and all things come into existence through this transforming process. It's the gift of birth. And in this creative universe that is developed, there's one curious kind of thing in here, which is man. And for Plato, that's the creature then that can become aware. And he says, you become aware of these things by studying the copy. You can infer properties of the model. You may not be able to get a direct perception, obviously, into the mind of God, but by studying the processes and trying to understand them with the highest sense of reason, looking therefore to the highest principles, you should then be able to establish the ordered process in nature and work backwards to get to the model. That model is the intelligible living creature. And now there's one more step. All set? The relationship between the Demiurgos and the idea in the mind of God must